everybody. So here it is, Tuesday evening. I'm going to do a little bit of back extension work for you guys. So you guys can, I'm going to do quite a few different back extension exercises. Not necessarily that you would want to do all of these all at once. You could, but depending on your back, you might just want to take a couple of the exercises to do some back extension and then build from there. Okay. So before we start it, I'm going to do just a little bit of warming up the shoulders as we're doing the exercises. Okay. So in the all fours position here, you make sure you have your wrists right under the shoulders and the knees under the hips. You're going to have a nice neutral spine position. So remember, we don't want to arch the back, but find more of that neutral position there for your spine. Okay. Slide your shoulders down your back, and we're just going to start with a little opposite arm and leg stretch here. This itself could just be a very easy back extension. Your back extensors have to work in order for you to stay in this lifted position. So this is one variation of some back extension. You can take one arm forward and the other leg is going to lengthen back behind, stretching long through the shoulder and the opposite hip. You're going to come down and then you're going to switch. So I would say maybe doing 3 on each side to start. You can certainly do more than that. Lengthening out and coming back, and then switch and come back. And just, just noting that when you take that extension, we're not arching the back and reaching up, but we're just trying to lengthen and keep that neutral position in the spine. One more. Good. All right. So that just, from here, now staying here in this all fours position, one version of your kind of protraction and retraction in all fours, dropping the sternum down and the shoulder blades come together behind your back, and then lift the sternum up. So you're just moving the shoulder blades, the scapula forward and back, protracting forward and retracting back. If the weight on the wrists is too much, or it just gets to be a little bit too much right away, you can just sit back, reach the arms straight out in front, and you would pull your shoulders back and then reach them forward. So that's going to get you the same thing, just not loaded there onto the shoulders. Just kind of getting them a little bit warmed up. Good. Okay, and then you're going to go ahead and take it all the way down to your mat. Now, I'm going to use my roller to do these. If you don't have your roller, there's also discs that you can use, but the discs basically are like paper plates. You could use paper plates if you had that. Just something that would glide up and down on your floor, okay? So just going to keep the eye gaze down. Your face is lifted just a little bit up off the mat. Abdominals are drawing in tight. You're squeezing your glutes and you're pressing your hips and pubic bone down in towards the floor, okay? And then you're going to do some, just some scapula glides. So as the abdominals are bracing, on your inhale, I want you to go ahead and just reach those fingertips away from you, sliding the shoulder blades up. And then you're going to pull back and let those shoulder blades drop back down into the pockets. Okay, so again, we're just doing this just to kind of warm up the shoulders, right? The work in the shoulders works into your upper back, your back extensors. So when we're doing back extension, your shoulders, you feel it in the shoulders as well. Just want to warm up, just not getting right into the work with the muscles being cold. Good, let's go ahead one more. Good, and then draw back. Good. All right, now you can use the roller or you can have your hands right at your sides, kind of just outside the shoulders, and your hands just down onto the floor. The neck is long and the eye gaze is down. Want to make sure you're pulling those shoulders down. So you can do the back extension from here, or you could bring your hands back up onto your roller and do your back extension there. So I'll do a few here, first, and then I'll show it to you with the roller. So you're just going to inhale, and as you inhale, you're just going to lightly press your hands down in towards the floor and start to float the chest up. You're using your upper back to lift, and then you're going to lower right back down. Notice I'm not lifting up very high, right? You're just lifting that upper chest off of the mat. You're squeezing your glutes and you're pressing your hips down. You're lengthening that spine. Okay, let's do one more here, and then I can show you if you wanted to use the roller, which is also a nice way to do this work. You can use the roller. I find when I use the roller, it also gets me a little bit into my triceps. So you bring your hands up onto your roller. Again, you're going to slide those shoulders down into the back, and then on your inhale, just kind of pull that roller closer up towards you, floating the chest a little bit up off of your mat. And then you would roll it back down. Now notice that my shoulder blades stayed back the whole time. So when you roll down, don't let the shoulders reach forwards. Just keep them into the position the whole time. So we talk about shoulder blades down and into the pockets. So I find when I use my roller, being that it's a piece of apparatus, it's just a little more helpful to get a little more range of motion, but it's not necessary, okay? All right, and then if you were to take that movement a little bit more, or maybe a lot more, if that range is okay for you for your back, you would inhale and then press gently into your hands, and then float that chest up even higher using your upper back muscles to lift, and then you're going to lower right back down. And again, inhaling as you lift, shoulders are sliding down your back, so the shoulder blades are in the pockets the whole time. Right, getting into quite a bit more back extension. Let's go ahead and do one more here, and then we'll do the last three using the roller, so you can feel that difference. Okay, and if you were to bring your hands back to that roller, pull the shoulder blades down into the pockets, inhale, float that chest up higher, squeeze those glutes. So you're going to see that I can usually get up just a bit higher than if I was not using the roller. So it doesn't mean I'm cheating, it just means that the roller is assistive to help me get a little bit more range of motion. That's what's sometimes really nice about having some of the pieces of apparatus. Good. We're going to do one more. And lifting that one up. Okay, now go ahead and come down. I want to work a little bit into the lower body because we're going to put this together. Squeeze the glutes, and on your inhale, keeping your legs straight, you're going to inhale and you're going to lift both legs up off of that mat. Try not to bend your knees, and then you're going to set them right back down. Now your upper body, you want to try to keep your upper body out of the equation here. Okay, so the work is happening in the lower body. Glutes squeezing tight, feel those hamstrings engage, a little bit of stretch across the hip flexors as you lift. I'm going to do one more, lifting it up. So you should never feel any kind of pinching into your lower back when you're lifting the legs or in you're lifting the upper body. So that's usually a gauge to you. If you feel anything just a little too much into the lower back, then you're just not going to come up quite as high. Right, so on this next one, let's do another variation. So I'm going to have you bring your arms to your sides with your palms facing down. Slide your shoulders down. Now, if palms facing down really doesn't feel good in your shoulders, it's okay to take the palms up. I just prefer the palms down in this position. You can have your hands down onto the mat, or you can slightly float them up off the mat. On your inhale, you're going to lift the upper body, and those arms are going to come with you, lifting up, and then you're going to bring it right back down. So you're feeling those upper back muscles as you lift. Good. Now I like to keep my eye gaze down for the most part. You can also take the eye gaze just a bit forward. Now the reason I don't really like to do that so much or cue that too much is I don't want people to come forward and hinge their head back. If you come forward, your eye gaze comes forward, but the neck is still long. If I keep my eye gaze down, I just typically don't get too much into my neck. Okay. So on this one, if you needed a little assistance with it, it felt like it was working a little bit too much into your upper back, you could have one hand down the other one back, just lightly press into the one hand to give you that little extra bit of assistance, or just keep them both down, right? So the arms back behind are just adding more back extension. Now, what I've already done in this little sequence is probably at this point would be plenty of back extension all at one time. But as I'm doing it, I'm just doing it to give you lots of different ideas, different variations of some back extension you can do. All right, so the last one, which would be, in my opinion, this one is the hardest one because it's going to change your levers. So you start with the arms back behind. You're going to reach those arms overhead, right? So now your levers got really long with the arms overhead. And then on your inhale, you're going to lift the chest up, squeeze your glutes. And you might even be able to tell in that video that I'm not coming up quite as high because this is a lot more work for my upper back. A couple more. As soon as those levers go long overhead, your upper back has to work a little bit harder. Let's do one more. Good, coming up. And then back down. Now, because that was a lot of back extension, I want to just have you come up, take it into a little child's pose just to release your back. You just want to kind of round your back as you do it. Take your back into an opposing stretch after you do back extension. And then we're going to finish with something called swimming. We do this at the studio sometimes. We're using the roll down bar, and as we use the roll down bar, it gives us a little bit of weight, a little bit stretch. But on this, that exercise directly comes right from the mat, and we call it swimming. So you're going to bring both of your arms straight overhead. Push that roller out of my way. Hopefully it doesn't come back to me. Okay. Slide your shoulders down your back, right? Always start there. So opposite arm and leg stretch in the lying down position is going to be your swimming. So you're going to lift front arm and the back leg and bring it down, and then back arm and the front leg. Now, we're trying not to rotate the spine, right? So you're pushing your hips down and towards the mat, and you're lengthening. Just imagine if I was stretching and pulling gently at your wrist and your back ankle. So just feel that stretch. Good. Now we're going to take this one a little bit quicker. So you come up and switch and switch and switch and switch, sliding your shoulders down your back. If you wanted to bring the eye gaze a little bit forward, you can. Remember, just watch your neck. Squeeze your glutes. Last one. Good. Come on down. Press up. And find your child's pose. Maybe a little rounded back child's pose. Stretch into your low back. Nice. All right. So there you have it. A little bit of back extension. That was probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 different variations of some back extension that you can do. Back extension is super, super important for your spine, working, strengthening your upper back. In any Pilates class, we always want to make sure that there is some back extension that happens at some point into the class. Pretty much, you know, the lives that we live, particularly now as we're sheltered in place and we're on our computers or on our phones, socially distancing in that way, we have this tendency to bring our shoulders and everything rounds forward. So the back extension is there to really open up the upper back and keep you nice and stretched out across your back so that the shoulders don't keep rolling so far forward. So there you have it, little back extension. Definitely something that you can do every day. Maybe just one of those exercises every day out of, I don't know, I think I probably did about 5 or 6 different variations. So, all right, enjoy, and I'll see you back at the mat again, hopefully tomorrow.